The dust-choked air of Redemption Springs hung heavy with anticipation as Olivia Zimmerman pressed her back against the rough wooden planks of the Silver Dollar Saloon, her chest heaving with each desperate breath. It was 1875, and the West was no place for a woman alone, especially one accused of theft by the town's most influential businessman. The jeers of the mob searching for her echoed down the main street, growing louder with each passing moment. "There she is!" a gruff voice shouted, and Olivia's heart hammered against her ribs as several pairs of boots stomped toward the alley. She closed her eyes, waiting for rough hands to drag her into the street, when a shadow fell across her trembling form. A tall man in a dusty Stetson stood before her, his face half hidden beneath the brim of his hat. "Madam," he said quietly, extending a calloused hand, "I believe you could use some assistance." Olivia hesitated, her green eyes wide with fear. "They'll lynch you too if they think you're helping me." A hint of a smile touched his lips. "Let me worry about that." His blue eyes met hers with a steadiness that somehow calmed her racing pulse. "Walk proud beside me. Trust me." Something in his voice, confidence without arrogance, made her place her hand in his. He nodded once, then guided her from behind the saloon just as the mob rounded the corner. "Ike Harrington," he introduced himself as they walked with deliberate slowness across the street. "Most folks call me Ike." "Olivia Zimmerman," she whispered back, painfully aware of the stares following them. "Though I doubt I'll be welcome in this town much longer." Ike's grip tightened reassuringly around her fingers. "Well, Miss Zimmerman, I've got a feeling you've been wrongfully accused. Care to tell me your side while we make ourselves scarce?" As they reached his horse, a magnificent chestnut stallion, Ike helped her mount before swinging up behind her. The warmth of his chest against her back was oddly comforting as they rode out of town at an unhurried pace, as if daring anyone to challenge them. "I worked as a bookkeeper for Mr. Thornton at the Mercantile," Olivia explained once they were safely beyond the town limits. "This morning, he accused me of stealing $50 from the safe. I never took a penny, Mr. Harrington, but his word carries weight in Redemption Springs. Nobody would believe me over him." I guided his horse toward a creek lined with cottonwoods. "And why would Thornton accuse you falsely?" Olivia's cheeks flushed. "He made advances. When I refused him, he became vengeful." They dismounted near the water, and Ike removed his hat, revealing thick dark hair and a face more handsome than Olivia had initially realized. His jawline was strong, with several days' worth of stubble, but his eyes remained kind. "That sounds like Thornton," he said grimly. "Man's got a reputation from here to Santa Fe." "You know him?" Olivia asked, surprised. "Know of him. I've been riding circuit as a marshal for 3 years now." He withdrew a badge from his vest pocket. "Was heading to Redemption Springs on other business when I spotted your predicament." Relief flooded through Olivia. "A marshal? Then you can help clear my name." Ike's expression turned serious. "I can try, but Thornton has half the county officials in his pocket. What we need is proof." As the sun began to set, Ike built a small fire and shared his provisions with Olivia. She watched him move with the quiet efficiency of a man accustomed to the wilderness, his every action deliberate. "Why did you help me?" she asked finally, the question that had been burning in her mind. "You could have just ridden past." Ike paused, poking at the fire with a stick. "My ma raised me to stand up for what's right, even when it's not convenient. Besides," he added with a slight smile, "you looked too dignified to be a common thief." Olivia felt a strange flutter in her chest at his words. No one had ever described her as dignified before. As the daughter of German immigrants who had died of fever shortly after arriving in America, she had spent her childhood in an orphanage, learning to fade into the background. "We'll rest here tonight," Ike said, spreading a bedroll near the fire. "Tomorrow, We'll figure out how to prove your innocence. Where will you sleep? Olivia asked, eyeing the single bedroll. Don't you worry about me, Miss Zimmerman. I've slept under the stars more nights than I can count. He tipped his hat and moved to the other side of the fire, settling against his saddle. Despite her exhaustion, Olivia found sleep elusive. The events of the day replayed in her mind: Thornton's accusation, the crowd turning against her, and then Ike, appearing like a guardian angel when she needed one most. Morning came with birdsong and the smell of coffee. Olivia opened her eyes to find Ike already awake, tending a small fire with a pot of coffee brewing. "Sleep well?" he asked, handing her a tin cup of the strong brew. "Better than I expected," she admitted, accepting the coffee gratefully. "What's your plan, Marshal Harrington?" "First, we need to get you somewhere safe. I have a friend who owns a ranch about 10 miles from here. Sarah Blackwood is a widow who doesn't much care for town gossip. She'll give you shelter while I investigate Thornton." As they rode toward the Blackwood ranch, Olivia found herself studying Ike's profile against the morning sky. There was something about him, a quiet strength, an unassuming confidence that drew her. "How did you become a marshal?" she asked, genuinely curious. "The war changed everything," he replied after a moment. "After Gettysburg, I couldn't go back to farming. Needed something that felt like it mattered. Keeping the peace seemed as good a calling as any." "You were at Gettysburg?" she asked softly. He nodded, his expression distant. 18th Pennsylvania. Lost my brother there." Olivia's heart ached for him. "I'm sorry. It was a long time ago," he said, but she could hear the pain still lingering beneath his words. Sarah Blackwood proved to be exactly as Ike had described: a sturdy woman in her 50s with silver-streaked hair and no patience for pleasantries. "Another of your strays, Harrington?" she asked, eyeing Olivia with a critical but not unkind gaze. "This is Miss Olivia Zimmerman. She's been falsely accused by George Thornton," Ike explained. Sarah's expression hardened. "Thornton, that explains plenty. Come inside, girl. Any enemy of that snake is welcome at my table." As Olivia followed Sarah into the modest ranch house, Ike touched her arm lightly. "I'll head back to town, see what I can learn. Stay here and keep out of sight." "Be careful," Olivia said, surprising herself with how much she meant it. "Thornton is dangerous." A smile touched Ike's lips. "So am I when necessary." After he departed, Sarah set Olivia to work helping with household chores. The physical labor was a welcome distraction from her worries. "How long have you known Marshal Harrington?" Olivia asked as they kneaded bread dough together. "Going on 5 years now," Sarah replied. "He helped me keep this ranch after my Robert died. Some land grabbers thought a widow would be easy pickings." She chuckled. "They didn't count on Ike." "He seems like a good man," Olivia ventured. Sarah gave her a knowing look. "The best I know. And he's taken with you, if I'm any judge." Olivia felt her cheeks warm. "He's just doing his job. Ike Harrington never just does anything, girl. When he commits, it's with his whole heart." Sarah punched down the dough with emphasis. "And that's rare enough in this world." 3 days passed with no word from Ike. Olivia tried to focus on helping Sarah, but worry gnawed at her constantly. Had something happened to him? Had Thornton somehow discovered his investigation? On the 4th morning, as Olivia was gathering eggs from the henhouse, the sound of approaching hoofbeats made her heart leap. She hurried to the front of the house, shielding her eyes against the rising sun. Ike dismounted slowly, and Olivia noticed immediately that he moved with a stiffness that hadn't been there before. As he came closer, she gasped at the purple bruise spreading across his left cheekbone. "What happened?" she demanded, hurrying toward him. "Had a disagreement with some of Thornton's men," he said with a grimace that might have been a smile. But I've got news. Sarah appeared in the doorway, hands on her hips. Inside, both of you, that face needs tending. Once settled at the kitchen table with Ike holding a cold cloth to his bruised face, he shared what he'd learned. Thornton's been skimming from his investors for years. The $50 he accused you of stealing was just to create a distraction. He's planning to leave town tomorrow with over $5,000 in stolen funds. How did you discover this? Olivia asked, leaning forward. His clerk, Jenkins, has been keeping a second set of books. Poor fellow's been threatened into silence, but when I confronted him with evidence of his complicity, he broke down and confessed everything. Sarah snorted. And I suppose Thornton's men caught you speaking with Jenkins? Ike nodded. Fortunately, I managed to telegraph the county judge before they found me. He'll arrive tomorrow morning with reinforcements. We just need to make sure Thornton doesn't flee before then. We, Olivia echoed. Ike's blue eyes met hers. If you're willing. Jenkins will testify about the false accusation against you, but your testimony about Thornton's character and his advances will strengthen the case. Fear coiled in Olivia's stomach at the thought of facing Thornton again, but she straightened her shoulders. I'll do it. That evening, after Sarah had retired, Olivia and Ike sat on the porch, watching fireflies dance in the gathering darkness. The air between them felt charged with unspoken words. Thank you, Olivia said finally, for believing me when no one else would. Ike turned to look at her, his face half-shadowed in the lamplight spilling from the window. Truth has a certain sound to it. I heard it in your voice that first day. Something in his tone made Olivia's pulse quicken. Is that why you told me to walk proud beside you? Partly, he admitted, but mostly because that's where you belong. Not hiding, not ashamed. You're stronger than you know, Olivia Zimmerman. The way he said her name softly, with a kind of reverence, made her breath catch. Without thinking, she reached out and touched his bruised cheek gently. No one's ever fought for me before, she whispered. Ike caught her hand in his calloused fingers warm against her skin. Then they were fools. For a long moment, they sat in silence, her hand in his, the weight of what might be growing between them both exhilarating and terrifying. We should get some rest, Ike said finally, reluctantly releasing her hand. Tomorrow will be difficult. Olivia nodded, though sleep seemed impossible with her heart racing as it was. Good night, Marshal Harrington. Ike, he corrected softly. Just Ike to you, Olivia. Good night, Ike, she said, his name feeling right on her lips. Dawn broke with a chill that penetrated bone deep as they rode toward Redemption Springs. Olivia wore a dress borrowed from Sarah, her hair neatly pinned beneath a modest bonnet. Ike rode beside her, his badge prominent on his vest, his expression set in determined lines. Remember, he said as the town came into view, no matter what happens, hold your head high. The truth is on our side. The main street was already bustling with morning activity when they arrived. Heads turned as they rode past, whispers following in their wake. Olivia fought the urge to shrink under the stairs, Ike's words echoing in her mind. Walk proud beside me. They dismounted in front of the sheriff's office, where a distinguished older man in a black coat waited with the local sheriff. Judge Hollister. Ike greeted him, tipping his hat. Thank you for coming so quickly. Marshal Harrington. The judge nodded. Your telegram was most concerning. Is this the young lady in question? Yes, sir. Miss Olivia Zimmerman. Judge Hollister regarded her with shrewd eyes. Well, Miss Zimmerman, it seems you've stirred up quite a hornet's nest. Let's go inside and discuss our approach. As they entered the sheriff's office, a commotion erupted from the direction of the mercantile. Through the window, Olivia saw George Thornton striding toward them, flanked by two burly men. There she is. Thornton bellowed, pointing at Olivia. "Sheriff, I demand you arrest that thief immediately." Sheriff Taylor, a weathered man with a salt and pepper mustache, stepped onto the boardwalk. "Now, George, we've got Judge Hollister here to sort this all out proper like." Thornton's face flushed with anger. "There's nothing to sort out. She stole from me, and I want her in jail." "Actually, Mr. Thornton," Ike said, stepping forward, "we have evidence suggesting the opposite is true." The businessman's eyes narrowed as he recognized Ike. "You again. I thought my boys taught you to mind your own business." "When it comes to justice, everything is my business," Ike replied evenly. Judge Hollister emerged from the office. "Mr. Thornton, I presume? I'm Judge Hollister from the circuit court. I suggest we continue this discussion inside, unless you prefer to air your financial dealings in public." Thornton paled visibly. "I don't know what you're implying, but Jenkins has already provided us with both sets of books." Ike interrupted. "The game is over, Thornton." For a moment it seemed Thornton might flee. His eyes darted to his horse, to his men, then back to the judge. Finally, his shoulders sagged in defeat. "Fine, let's talk inside." The next hours passed in a blur of testimony and evidence. Jenkins, Thornton's clerk, arrived trembling but determined, carrying ledgers that clearly documented the businessman's embezzlement. Olivia recounted Thornton's inappropriate advances and his threat when she rejected him. By mid-afternoon, George Thornton was in a cell awaiting transfer to the county seat for trial, and Olivia stood on the boardwalk outside the sheriff's office, feeling strangely hollow despite her vindication. "It's over," Ike said, coming to stand beside her. "The judge has cleared your name completely." Olivia nodded, watching townsfolk pass by, some avoiding her eyes, others nodding apologetically. "Yes, but where do I go now? My reputation in this town." "You could come with me," Ike said quietly. She turned to him, surprised. "With you? I've been offered a permanent position as sheriff in Silver Creek, about 100 miles west of here. It's a growing town, needs someone to keep the peace." He hesitated, then added, "They also need a schoolteacher. The judge mentioned you have education from back east." "I was trained as a teacher before coming west," Olivia acknowledged. "But why would you want me to come with you?" Ike removed his hat, turning it in his hands, a gesture she had come to recognize as a sign of his rare nervousness. "Because in the few days I've known you, Olivia Zimmerman, you've shown more courage and dignity than most folks show in a lifetime. Because when I imagine riding to Silver Creek, I can't help but picture you riding beside me." His blue eyes met hers with unflinching honesty. "Because I think I might be falling in love with you, and I'd like the chance to find out for certain." Olivia's heart seemed to stop, then race ahead like a runaway horse. "Ike, we barely know each other." "I know enough," he said simply. "I know you're kind, even to those who wronged you. I know you're brave enough to face down a town that wanted to lynch you. I know when you smile, really smile, it lights up your whole face." He stepped closer. "But I'm willing to spend as long as it takes learning the rest, if you'll let me." A week ago, Olivia would have called such a proposition madness. But a week ago, she hadn't known what it was to have someone believe in her, fight for her, stand beside her when the whole world seemed against her. "What about your job as a marshal?" she asked, stalling as her mind whirled with possibilities. "I've been thinking of settling down for a while now. Silver Creek would be a good place for it. Good land nearby if a man wanted to build a home someday. Maybe start a family." The tips of his ears reddened slightly at this last part. Olivia looked out at the dusty street of Redemption Springs, a town that had been so quick to condemn her. Then she looked back at Ike, whose steady presence had become more precious to her than she could have imagined possible in such a short time. "I'd need to get my things," she said finally. a smile spreading across her face as she made her decision. Relief and joy transformed Ike's expression. "Does that mean yes?" "It means I'd like to see Silver Creek," Olivia replied, suddenly feeling lighter than she had in years. "And I'd like to see it with you." 2 days later, after gathering Olivia's modest belongings and saying goodbye to Sarah Blackwood, who had winked knowingly at Ike and pressed a bundle of food upon them for the journey, they set out for Silver Creek. Olivia rode her own horse, now a gentle mare Ike had purchased from a local rancher. As they traveled west, Olivia found herself opening up about her past, the orphanage where she'd grown up, her determination to educate herself, her journey west in search of independence. In turn, Ike shared stories of his childhood on a Pennsylvania farm, his time in the war, and his years as a marshal. With each passing mile, the connection between them deepened. Sometimes their hands would brush as they rode side by side, sending a current of awareness through Olivia. Other times, she would catch Ike watching her with a tenderness that made her cheeks flush. On the 5th night of their journey, they camped near a clear stream under a canopy of stars. After dinner, Ike surprised her by pulling out a small harmonica. "You play?" Olivia asked, delighted. "Poorly," he admitted with a self-deprecating smile. "But my pa always said music makes the trail less lonely." He began to play a sweet, melancholy tune that reminded Olivia of the folk songs her mother had sung when she was very small. Without thinking, she began to hum along, then to sing the German lyrics half remembered from childhood. When the song ended, Ike looked at her with wonder. "That was beautiful, Olivia. Your voice." She ducked her head, embarrassed. "I haven't sung in years. Not since my parents died." "You should sing more often," he said softly. "It suits you." The fire crackled between them, casting golden light across his features. Olivia felt a surge of emotion so powerful it almost frightened her. "Ike," she said hesitantly, "what if Silver Creek is just like Redemption Springs? What if they don't accept me either?" He set the harmonica aside and moved to sit beside her. "Then we'll find another place. Together." He took her hand in his. "But Silver Creek is different. The people there are building something new, not just a town, but a community. They'll be lucky to have you as their teacher." His confidence warmed her more than the fire. "And they'll be lucky to have you as their sheriff. We make a good team, you and I," Ike said, his thumb tracing small circles on the back of her hand. Olivia looked up at him, at this man who had changed the course of her life with a simple act of kindness. "Yes," she whispered. "We do." Something shifted in his expression, a question, a hope. Slowly, giving her every chance to pull away, he leaned toward her. Olivia's heart thundered in her chest as his lips met hers in a kiss so gentle it brought tears to her eyes. When they parted, Ike brushed a strand of hair from her face. "I've wanted to do that since I found you behind that saloon," he confessed. Olivia laughed softly. "Even with the mob after me? Especially then. You looked so fierce, even in your fear." His expression grew serious. "I meant what I said in Redemption Springs, Olivia. I'm falling in love with you. I know it's fast, but—" She silenced him with another kiss, bolder this time. "I'm falling in love with you too, Ike Harrington. And if that's madness, then I don't want to be sane." They arrived in Silver Creek on a crisp autumn morning. The town was smaller than Redemption Springs, but bustling with activity, new buildings under construction, children playing in the street, women chatting on boardwalks. Mayor Peterson greeted them warmly, showing Ike the sheriff's office and Olivia the schoolhouse, a simple but solid building with large windows and rows of desks. "School term starts in 2 weeks, the mayor explained. "That should give you time to settle in, Miss Zimmerman. We've arranged temporary housing for you at Mrs. Wilson's boarding house." "And for the sheriff?" Olivia asked, glancing at Ike. "There are rooms above the jail," Mayor Peterson replied. "Nothing fancy, but it'll do fine," Ike assured him. That evening, after getting settled in their respective accommodations, Ike and Olivia walked together along the edge of town, watching the sunset paint the western sky in brilliant orange and pink. "What do you think?" Ike asked. "Could you be happy here?" Olivia considered the town behind them, then looked at the man beside her, the man who had taught her to walk proud when she wanted to hide. "I think I could be happy anywhere as long as you're there," she answered honestly. Ike's smile was like sunrise. "I was hoping you'd say that." He reached into his pocket and withdrew a small ring, a simple silver band with a modest pearl. "This was my mother's. I've carried it with me since she passed, waiting for the right person." He took a deep breath. "Olivia Zimmerman, I know we've only known each other a short while, but I've never been more certain of anything in my life. Would you do me the honor of becoming my wife?" Tears blurred Olivia's vision as joy welled up inside her. "Yes," she whispered. "Yes, Ike, I will." He slipped the ring onto her finger, then pulled her close for a kiss that promised a lifetime of tomorrows. 6 months later, on a perfect spring day, Olivia stood at the altar of Silver Creek's newly completed church, her hand in Ike's as they exchanged vows before the entire town. Sarah Blackwood had traveled all the way from Redemption Springs for the occasion, sitting proudly in the front pew. "I now pronounce you husband and wife," the minister declared. "You may kiss your bride." As Ike's lips met hers, sealing their promise to one another, Olivia thought of that fateful day behind the saloon, how close she had come to a very different fate, how one man's courage and kindness had changed everything. When they turned to face the congregation as Mr. and Mrs. Isaiah Harrington, Olivia held her head high, walking proud beside the man she loved, into whatever adventures awaited them. Years passed, and Silver Creek grew into a thriving town. Ike served as sheriff with fairness and integrity, while Olivia became beloved by generations of students. They built a home on a piece of land just outside town, not too large, but filled with laughter and love. Their daughter, Emma, arrived 2 years after their wedding, followed by twin boys, Daniel and Joseph, 3 years later. The children grew strong and kind under their parents' guidance, learning the values of courage, honesty, and standing up for what's right. On their 20th wedding anniversary, Ike took Olivia's hand as they sat on the porch of their home, watching the sunset just as they had on that first evening in Silver Creek. "Any regrets?" he asked, his hair now streaked with silver but his blue eyes as bright as ever. Olivia leaned her head against his shoulder, thinking of the life they had built together, the challenges they had faced, the joys they had shared, the love that had only deepened with time. "Not a single one," she replied, squeezing his hand. "You taught me to walk proud, Ike Harrington. That was the greatest gift anyone ever gave me." He smiled, pressing a kiss to her temple. "No, Olivia, the greatest gift was you, taking my hand that day. You saved me as much as I saved you." As twilight settled over their land, they remained side by side, just as they had been from the beginning, two souls who had found each other against all odds, walking proud together through whatever life brought their way.